All right, people are checking in. Philip, Jeremy, what's happening? We'll chill here for just a little bit and let everybody check in, and we'll get rolling. Brent White, what's up and what's happening? Boom, boom, boom. Lots of thumbs up. Philip, how are you, man? I'm good. Corey, you know it. Beer time, I got a little bit of everything rolling, so. Alex Canada, you're in Guyman, dude. You're out in the sticks, man. You're further out in the sticks than I am. Scott Hutchins, Texas, checking in. Stephen Cordis. We had a private conversation with our team. We got a bunch of campers and a bunch of hotelers, and so it's always a good conversation. You got it, Ryan. Big PBR, buddy. Adele is good too. In fact, I'm going to be right back and refill a little bit here. Had to make sure I was topped off there for the day. Dinner ran late, my training ran late, and so I finished eating like 3 minutes ago, so it's been a mad dash. Chris Cooper checks in, and Quincy Simon, what's happening? Tuesday night highlight, all right. Quincy's another one of our Kansas boys that come down and do our races, and we try to get up there, and we usually get up there to do gravel. I haven't done much mountain biking up there. I got to get up there, though. I hear the Wilson's great. I just can't make it. They never seem to make it, or it rains out. Stephen Cordis, you are probably correct, but it was not my decision, and just kind of roll with the punches. All right, we got quite a few. I'm going to go ahead and get rolling, even though it's only 3 minutes in. I used to wait a little bit longer, so we'll do our little intro. So first of all, Corey White, people call me the Wizard. This is a weekly Wizard update. We're going to cover several things today. Going to just do some intro stuff, and then we're going to talk about Medicine Park, and we're going to talk about Ponco. Briefly, a brief touch on Keystone. I want to save that mainly for later, and then we want to hit up at the end with a topic that was brought up a couple of times over the past few weeks, and I've just decided to try to fit it in, and people wanted to talk about training. I don't think I want to get into much detail about that, because honestly, I'm not very good with the detail-orientated stuff of training, but obviously I've been doing it for a very long time, so I get the whole basics, and I think I want to try to just try to get the basics and the basics process and how it all works, and then go from there, and then that will give you the starting place, and then from there then you can decide where you're at and what you need to do to progress from there and things like that. So Austin Edgar says spell casting. No, sorry, I don't have my staff. I really need a staff to fit my Wizard. I don't know. I need to make that happen. Like a big walking staff. That would be awesome. Something from like Lord of the Rings. Let's see. Wilson race is on May 5th, I believe. I don't know when that is. I don't know. We'll have to look at May 5th. I know we got Marathon Nationals in there somewhere, so I'm not sure when that is. Sounds like it's right in that vicinity. Elvin Cruz checked in. Yeah. Elvin said he misses racing mountain bikes in Oklahoma. He moved off on us. Elvin, chime in and tell us where you moved. I'm just blanking off the top of my head, but he moved off with a new job and stuff. So Austin Edgar says he's on it. All right, I may have a Wizard staff soon. Great. Okay, so let's just do a little talk. So first of all, I want to bring these up and just Brent White checked in earlier. So This is a little story that goes back all the way to Claremore. So we were just joking around about the cheese balls, cheese puffs, and he bought me this bucket just jokingly. I ate the whole damn thing like 3 weeks ago. It's been empty forever. So it has some in it now. It's because my boys brought home a big bag the other day, and instead of keeping the bag, I just dumped the bag back in here. So we're making progress again. So I may be snacking on a few of these tonight. In fact, I may just hit a couple of those right now. He darn checked in. What's happening? These aren't as good as the regular ones, though. They must have bought the cheap kind. Now I'm with decorations, so let's look up here. We got a little Oklahoma free will up here, and I got a little hole shot over here. So let's start with the free will first. I just wanted to pop that up there. I saw a post today on Facebook, and it sounds like our boys Trevor and I don't know who else was with him. I read that post real quickly, and then I was so busy today I didn't get a chance to go back and check it out and see who was with him. But there were 2 or 3 of those guys, and they're out scouting free will routes and already checking that out. I haven't done one of those in several years, but if you guys ever want to ride on the road, and there's also a gravel route right across Oklahoma over I think 6 nights, 7 days. It's a heck of an experience, especially if you can get a good group. So I highly recommend it. And you know, it's a good time, good camaraderie, and it's a pretty cool event. So I just wanted to support that and shout out to those guys that are out doing course research right now, trying to find a pretty sweet route across Oklahoma. Stephen Cordes says you don't need a staff when you can ride everything. I try with my one gear. My other side over here, hole shot. So just wanted to say a little bit about that. Where do I have that at? I have that down somewhere. I'm missing my notes. Ah, there it is. I have them here. So hole shot, if you guys are unaware, Bike Lab, the team I ride for, we have moved. We are officially in our new location and have been this week, and it's awesome. It's an awesome place. I hope you guys come and check it out. Even if you ride for other teams and shop at the shops, that's totally cool. Just come on and check us out and have a cup of coffee and see the new place, and it's a good time. So the second part of our shop is that we, in the same building, we are opening what's called Hole Shot, and it is a coffee shop. I'm going to have some beer on tap, and as well as coffee and the typical. We've got multiple baristas that are employed and are going to be taking care of that, and that is officially opening April the 23rd. So just around the corner, that place is going to be kicking it. However, there is an event out there, and you'll probably see that floating around a little bit over the next couple of weeks. We have the grand opening party, which is going to be on 4/27. So definitely something. If you see the invite and you get it, come on down and check this place out. It's awesome. There's going to be coffee and beers flowing, and it's pretty fun event, and definitely some good cold beers and some good coffees. So, okay, let's see. Oh yeah, so second thing here is, you notice my nice new koozie here. Whoops. I think I snagged that from Stephen Cordes, so thank you, Angela, for making that for Stephen. I stole it on accident, really. As I drink my tall boy PBR. Of course, I have my team wine box. I got to, like I said, I always got to keep in there. And I still don't have my shirt. I wear a size men's medium. I'm just saying, Julie, Denton, all you guys out there that have the shirts, I'm just saying, men's medium, I wear one. And I shipped it back. I want to knock off the bottom of the barrel of my Jaeger this weekend. So I had a big old bottle of that, and I've just about knocked her out. And then I got my little somethings over here. So notice I got my award from this weekend, and I didn't get the big one. Jason and Gilkey kicked my butt again, so he's riding strong. We had a good race, and it was fun times. But see this little dude right here? That's a cog. That's a 15. Can anybody tell me what that means? What does the 15 cog mean? Come on, somebody can pop in with a comment. Any guesses? 15. I'll give you a few minutes while I take a sip of my cold beer. Any guesses? Brent Wyatt. Sure needy asking for staff and shirts and cheese balls. I know. I'm a little needy. Nobody's got any guesses. Come on. Nobody's got any guesses what the 15 means. Fast, low elevation Ponca. No, definitely not for Ponca. Dirt crit season. Toby. No, definitely not the Ponca gear. So, dirt crit season is upon us. I think it's kicking off this Thursday, just like we've done it the past several years. And for me to do our Bluff Creek dirt crits, I'm sure there's a bit page out there somewheres. I just have not checked it out, but I did see a couple of posts over the last few days. Actually, over the last week. 3215 is my go-to. It's the only way I can keep up to speed with you guys with gears. And I still get dropped sometimes in the straightaways. But anyway, 3215, that's my little cog. That's my little symbol to tell you dirt crits are upon us Thursday. It is a hell of a good time. Very informal. There's no awards. We've got fast guys. We've got slow guys. We got kids. Got everybody. We all do a mass start. We have a little cyclocross run in to kind of string everybody out. Some people are going to get lapped, but it doesn't matter. Even us guys that are racing fast and racing hard, we're fairly cautious and we're fairly positive. And if there's somebody that is not, we'll take care of that. So don't be scared. Even if you want to just come out and experience it for a little while, come on out and enjoy it. It's a good time. Then we hang out after in the parking lot and illegally drink some cold brews that, of course, is, we're not supposed to do, but we always do in the park. But, hey, that's just part of the gig, and I think everybody's pretty cool about that. So, yeah, George, GT Georgito says we've got grumpy guys. Yeah, that does happen. So, no one says how many geared bikes will be behind you. I hope a whole lot. That's the plan, at least. But there will be a few that I can name right now that I won't be in front of. So, okay, I think we're ready to move on in. So I've got my intro covered, and throw that guy up there. I could actually introduce myself early today instead of forgetting about it, so I think we're good. I'm going to move right on into something I started last time, and I'm kind of still don't have a good name for this. I'm going to try to create a little name for it, but right now I'm just calling it Little Known Wizard Facts, and I'm going to try to weekly pop in a little something just about me personally that I think people don't know, and I don't know, maybe of interest. You may not care, but oh well, now you're going to know. So I think last week I talked about my education background and my teaching background, and how I got started and how long I've been doing it. And this week I'm just going to talk about when I started cycling. So I was a basketball player and track guy in high school. And then I moved on to college and attempted to play basketball. And I did play basketball for a couple of years, so I didn't play a lot. Basically, I sat on the bench, and I think I helped bring the team GPA up. That was about all. I realized real quickly that I wasn't big and strong enough to do that, but I survived a couple of years, and it was fun, and got that taste out of my mouth. And then I finished college and went on and did my thing, and I continued to play basketball even into adulthood. That was my thing. I loved it, and I hit about 29, 30, and my knees and my hips and my ankles kept telling me that I needed to find another sport. And I'd ridden the mountain bike a couple of times, just one off from some friends that loaned one to me. And I was fishing with a kid of mine. At the time, I only had one, and we were sitting and fishing at Lake Elk City. And I saw some guys riding their bikes around the lake, and made me think about it. And I tracked them down in the parking lot and talked bikes, and there was a shop in town at Elk City at that point in time. I lived in Sayre, and I bought a cheap $500 bike 3 days later, and the rest is history. So I officially started mountain biking when I was like 30, 31. So that puts me at like 19-ish years riding and racing. I immediately started racing, and I've been doing it ever since. So anyway, got a late start, but hey, that's just part of the gig. So it's never too late. You're never too old. Just do it. Set your goal, set your mind to it, and make it happen. Okay, let's talk about Medicine Park. Man, oh man, what a weekend. What a weekend. Crazy up and down weather. Windy, cold. Sun comes out, it's warm and nice. Then it's cold again and windy, and then sun comes out and it's warm and nice. Weather just can't make up its mind, but it ended up being a good weekend. I wussed out on the Friday night ride, but a lot of people still made it and still did it, and they said it was great. I heard that Mark and Chad had created an entirely brand new single track trail just for that event, and it was great, and everybody enjoyed it. Had a good time, and sorry I missed it, but I was sleeping where it was nice and warm in my bed. So and then I guess there was something else. Oh, I guess Hosty was that night at the tavern as well too. So sorry I missed that, because I love Hosty. He always puts on a good show. We rolled into Saturday, and Saturday was pretty chilly in the morning, but man, there was so much going on Saturday all day long. It was so much fun. A lot of things went on in the morning. I think they actually canceled the morning ride because there was just too much ice and stuff around. It was just crazy that it sleeted and iced over, but it warmed up really nicely, and by early afternoon, the sun was out, temps were up, and it was so beautiful. We went out and did a full loop. Tons of people were there out doing the Strava segments. We had a bunch of people over doing I saw it on video. I wasn't there early enough to see the actual event, but they were doing, like, over in the Kids Cup, they were doing a tabletop competition, jumping over the tabletop, and I guess the kids and even some of the adults love that one. And they had street sprints, and I think Josh Reeser won the street sprints. I think Kai might have won the tabletop, and then all throughout the day, again, they let it. It was going to end at 4, but because of the delay with the weather, we moved it to like 5:30 or 6 or something like that, to let everybody go out and get their Strava segments. But they had a hill climb, they had a couple of downhills, maybe those two things. I think there was probably something else that I can't think of. But our buddy Nick, he always comes down to Medicine Park for this event. He lives in Colorado now. He is a downhill maniac, and I've ridden with him a few times, and I don't even attempt to go downhill with him. It's amazing. I think he won all the downhill stuff, and Then Kalian Carlberg, Tulsa guy, he went out and he drilled the uphill climb on the fish trail up to the gay fish, and he won the prize for that. And what else was? Oh, there's a wheelie competition, which was super fun. We've been hanging out, so basically everybody kind of did their thing, and then there's just a few little, there's a few people out still finishing up some KOMs, and then there's just looking, people that's out and about. But we've basically been hanging out at base camp for like 3 or 4 hours, just drinking beer and having a good time, telling stories. And so we finally got the wheelie competition going, and they're wheeling from the tavern uphill towards base camp. So several people tried it and did pretty well, but our local Guy Cordes pretty much took the cake on that. He rode a wheelie and even got some one-handers in pretty much all the way up the whole damn road. Steve Cordes just checked in and said there was a track stand contest. Kai won that, so. Yeah, and Trish just chimed in and said something about the Super D. I didn't even see who won that. So they were giving the awards away and not announcing them. So Trish, did you win the Super D? I'm guessing you did. That's why you chimed in. So Trish on the Super D. I don't even know where that was at. I think that was up on I think that was another one. So you ride up to the fish trail to the gay fish, and then the Super D was from the gay fish all the way down on the backside. Oh, and then Heath Arning says, yes, they had an axe hold, which was like, one of the competitions. You take a big old heavy ass axe and you got to like grab it and point it straight out and hold it. I can't even lift it off the ground. And so several guys did it. And I think Tom Ugleen smoked everybody on that one. So it's fun times. We're all just hanging out. And we spent all day at base camp Saturday just hanging out down there. And eventually things wound down a little bit, and we moved everything over to the tavern because they had a band in the tavern. We moved it into the tavern because the wind, and it was a little chilly. It was starting to get a little chilly at night. Oh yeah, Angela just popped in. I'll get to that in a second. That's a good one. Anyway, so we moved on to the tavern, and we all kind of hung out there for a bit and had some beers, and we rolled home. I missed one of the competitions, and it was a really fun one. And we're going to make this a bigger thing next year, guaranteed. Angela and I don't know who helped you, Angela. Maybe you can pop their names in there. I know Julie was in there, and I think maybe Chad's wife helped. I'm not sure who all helped you, but anyway, so Angela Cordes helped organize a KOB contest, King of Beer. So they had a bunch of beers, and 10 of them. They had 10 beers that we were not allowed to see, and they would pour 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little bitty, shot glass size cups. And Schultz helped, thank you. And you'd have to take a shot, and then you had the list. You could see the list of 10, and you had to write down which one you thought it was. So you had to guess the beer. And we had a bunch of people just taking turns doing it. And naturally, it came down to a 3-way tie. I was not in the tie. I was out. And sadly, I missed the PBR. I didn't even know that it was PBR. I don't know. Probably had a bad beer before that. Anyway. Excuses. Had a 3-way tie and a 3-way tie. They had different beers that the 3 of them had to do. And of the 3-way tie, the best person in the world that could have won. Mark Ellis, base camp owner and local extraordinaire, and part of all the Medicine Park stuff, won the KOB. So he got this sweet King of Beer shirt and a tiara that he wore all night at the tavern. But I heard the next day that he lost it because he probably got pretty wrecked a little bit, and it disappeared. So somebody will find it and get it back to him. So congrats on the KOB. So that was just Saturday. We still have the race to go. So Sunday rolls around and it's race time. So, you know, hey, we do our thing. We everything, as I mentioned before, we staged over at the Kids Cup area. I really didn't pay that much attention to parking, but it seemed like we had plenty of parking. Everybody kind of hung around there. I think there were kids out on the Kids Cup course even after the Kids Cup race all day long. So I think that Kids Cup course is a hit, even for some of the grown-ups out there doing the tabletop and going over some of the bridges. The starting of the Cat 3s and even taking the Cat 1s with a neutral rollout over to Mary Circle, it all went flawlessly. We had no issues, and I think it's a good strategy for next year. So I think we could repeat that. The courses were great. It was a little chilly and a little windy, and we didn't get sun until pretty much Cat 1 podiums, but that was probably just a pain for the people that were working, but it was not bad as we rode. Yeah, it was an unbelievable course, and it's well maintained, and the new choices were great. Ryan Paloma just popped in and says props to the guys helping get bikes over the ramp. Yeah, I think it was the same guys for me. I don't know if they changed shifts for different races or not, but I think it was some guys from the base, some military guys. Somebody can probably chime in and tell me exactly who it was. I heard there was possibly going to be some high school group from the Key Club that Angela had set up, but I didn't see them. I'm pretty sure the guys that I saw were the military guys. And man, they were doing a good job, and they were stoked to be out there. They were so happy, and man, they had a good routine. It was pretty good. So, a couple comments, and I think they just touched on what I just said. So Steven said U.S. Army. So yeah, it was our Army-based guys. Cat Sprague, what's happening, brother? Let's see. Man, one of the coolest part of the courses, which was also one of the scariest part of the courses, and I think it got some of the most pictures. So there was a section for the Cat 1-2. Now this is just the Cat 1-2 course. Was a section called Chef's Line, and it was the part where you come up and all the crew was there. You had the Cortices were there, and the Crampies were there, and there were a bunch of other people there, but it's kind of hard to look around, so I'm not sure who all was there each lap. And looks like you're going to just fall off into the lake, but you do a little drop down and you curl around. You got like 3 drops, and the final drop down to the bottom was the kind of the scariest, but super cool. It was well maintained. It was marked well, and it was marked well enough that most people rode it. People that didn't got off and walked it, and they were all cool. You walked it and get done, you're all good to go. But lots of good pictures from that place, lots of good heckling, and one of the best photo bombs ever by Stephen Cordes on a John Denton drop-in. So I don't know if you can drop pictures into the comments, but man, if you can, that would be an awesome picture to do. So trying to think of what else to say about that. See if I can see my notes here. Yeah, did I say there was a lot of climbing? Did I say that? It was just a little bit. Yeah. My legs are feeling it. It's good stuff, though. Good stuff. I think we topped out about 130 racers, so that was just for the Sunday race. So a little bit lower than usual, but pretty good for Medicine Park, and we just keep growing that number, and we're going to continue to do that as fewer people get scared off when they realize that the course is actually rideable and it's pretty solid. And it's one hell of a weekend. So you're not just coming down there for Sunday. You're coming down there for the whole weekend because it is so much fun. Yeah, so just I mean that's pretty much it, unless anybody else can pop in and say something that they want to talk about Medicine Park. But man, it was it's a good weekend. I do want to the Melon Bike Kids Cup. So I was able to run away from the plate table for just a little bit, check out the kiddos as they took off, and man, those kids are out there just flying around on the Kids Cup course, and it's so cool that they just so happen to have the space and the terrain to make a Kids Cup course or a short track or whatever you want to call it just for this event, and they maintain that throughout the year. And often, truthfully, we go over there and warm up on that and finish our ride on that just for something that's fun to do, and anyway, get you going. So and they keep putting some wood. They got a wood structure up there now that's pretty fun. They said they're going to make some more. So, I mean, you saw all weekend, in between races, after races, all day long, there were kids and adults even over there playing on those wooden structures. And I saw them had a shovel and digging dirt and trying to make a ramp. So, yeah, it's all good time. Good times, fun stuff. Gabe Edmonds checked in from Arkansas. How you doing, buddy? You're right. Excellent race it was. Heath Arning, fantastic weekend. It was fun stuff. So that's all of Medicine Park. I'm going to close with that, man. Just good times and good race. Hard race. Going to move on into Tate Parker. Sweet jumps. Got to practice his digging. I saw that video that Jess posted, Tate, and you hit that tabletop pretty solid. I'm not brave enough to do that. All right, let's move on into Ponco. We'll talk a little bit about this, and then we'll just touch on Keystone briefly. But skip. I want to save Keystone mainly. It's 4:15, so that's our next race coming up. Ready to roll. I think Angela just posted a link to a Facebook link to the. I'm not going to click on it, might mess up my page, but she posted a link to that picture, is my guess. So click on that link. It's a cool picture if you haven't seen it. It's probably the best. It's probably one of the two best photo bombs I've ever seen. I've got one that I'm going to have to pull out from like 10 years ago at a cyclocross race. That's a good photo bomb. But anyway, that's another story. So 4:15, Ponca City coming up, man. This race is going to be fun. I love this course. Of course, I love a lot of courses, but this one just really, honestly, I think this one fits me well. I'm going to suffer a little bit on the road sections that get you to the trails and then link it in the middle. But it's just part of the gig for being a single speed. And I pick my poison, I pay the price. So it's my choice, and I deal with it. Angela says, it's frowny face, the link didn't work. That's okay. Just some notes before we're going to Ponca. So we noticed this as we went up there with our off weekend 2 weeks ago. I lose track of time. Hubbard Road, just west of that main road that you take through town, is closed. There's a huge bridge and it's out. So I know that we used to, we'd either exit at Tonkawa or we'd go on down the highway and exit, and then we'd take Hubbard and we'd go down Hubbard. That way we could go straight into the park without having to go through downtown. Don't do that, because that Hubbard Road west of that is closed. West of that main road going through town is closed. So you need to exit at Tonkawa. Don't go past that and try to exit. You need to exit at Tonkawa, which I believe is Highway 60, and you need to go on into town And there's ways to, I mean, you don't have to go straight into town. There's various ways once you get into the main Ponca area, and just let your GPS take you, or you can map it out, whatever. I'm not going to worry about directions, but just don't go down to Hubbard and try to go all the way down from the highway into town and straight into the park to bypass that. So anyway, keep track of that. The Wentz Park, I don't know the proper name for that, but it's a swimming pool and park and cabins, and it's that really cool area up above the venue, and it's where we did registration last year. And the Ponca boys have gotten Wentz to get totally on board with this race. They are opening their cabins. Now, I don't know if there are any left. They're primitive cabins, and there is a restroom and showers available for those cabins. I don't know if there's any available yet, or I mean, still or not. I know people were already getting some of those. They're allowing tent camping anywhere in that area, and I think this would be really super cool because we ran into this at Claremore just by accident. A lot of our guys were camping right where the Kids Cup were supposed to go, and I say we totally do that again. If you can camp and they're marking the Kids Cup, put your tents right by the tape, any place that you can. It is so cool to get up in the morning, and then, I mean, you're messing around the campsite, and our Kids Cup kids are racing, and support these guys and yell at them and do fun stuff. And it's just I don't think how positive an effect it has on these kids when they come back and talk about the fun race. And at Claremore they were jumping over pine cones and getting cheese puff hand ups, and it was a fun time. And I think with the camping and the Kids Cup course all being in the same place, I think we could just it would be so awesome to align the Kids Cup with tents and people that were all there. That would be so much fun. So anyway, don't know how that'll play out logistically, but anyway, it's going to be a fun time, and it's super cool, the Wentz campground, to open up their facility to us. And I think they're going to allow RV parking, again, primitive, no hookups, anything like that, in the parking area. Maybe, I don't know, I'll let someone discuss that on Facebook, and there's been some posts about that. They will probably still open up the park by the lake, and then there is one over on the west side of the lake which I have hookups, and I know we had some people that went there last year just because they wanted hookups. I think there are actually a few power hookups, maybe just not water, over on the east side of the lake, which is just up the road from the campground. So anyway, it's pretty cool what the city and the lake and Wentz Campground have decided to do, and to allow everything that goes on for this race and support this race. It's pretty amazing, the support they get. So thumbs up to them, and that's kind of the general plan. So. And I kind of mentioned this, but again, just specifically, we will again do registration at the top of that. You drop in that big long climb. We're gonna do registration and the Kids Cup all up top, and all the parking will be up top. No one's going down except just people that need to be down there for officiating and things like that. Important stuff. So. Brian McGinnis says yelling at children is wrong. It's good only if you're yelling at them in a positive manner, right? That's the kick. Let's see. All right, so let's talk about the course. Super fun course, very diverse, and I would say it's a rocky course that people have been talking about, but outside of a couple of sections, this course is not that bad. I ride this. I mean, there is a 0.2 mile section, which is called the boulder section. I think that's section 3, because they've got every section labeled. So you've got it as, section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, I believe, is the numbering. And you just follow the numbers, which is really cool. It's a smart thing to do. We talked about that last year and came up with that, and they just knocked it out. So it's so easy to follow that. But I mean, outside of that, you've got some minor rocky sections which are still fast and flowy. You've got an entry section that's a little hard, but right after that, you've got a whole long section that's just smooth trail bed, flying fast, curving between the trees and around. You've got a bermed up. They've got a little plastic piece. It's all bermed up, so you can go around that. And then right past that, you got a little jump you can do, and I mean, it's just some cool stuff. And as hard as people talk about it, the main boulder section is only 0.2 miles. You got the rest of the trail, which is not bad at all. It's a little bumpy, but not bad. Now, they did add a new, I call it boulder section 1.2, maybe. It's another boulder section very similar to the first one, and but it's not as hard. You have a pretty sneaky drop in that that they've got marked, and marked as to caution. And it's not hard. You can do it, but it is scary if you look at it without seeing it. So go look at it, practice it, do it. You'll be fine. And again, it's about, I don't even think it's 0.2 miles. It's probably less than 0.2 miles. So it's a real hard section, but it's totally rideable. And just got to knock it out. The rest of it's fast, man. I love the course. Brian McGinnis says, I hear the rocks are smooth if you're mindlessly hungover. And the rocks are not super sharp, but the thing about the rocks there are similar to Medicine Park in that most of the rocks are all embedded, so they're not like rocks and they're shelling and moving around. They're all embedded and they're solid. So lines develop, super easy to get over, and super easy to go around. So yeah, it's all good. Start finish is going to be the same as last year, I would imagine. We might make some small tweaks to it, but the start finish worked great last year. We start right up there in that lower parking lot, and we blaze all the way down to the double track, which again I'm going to hate because I'm going to be riding my 19 just so I can maybe keep up with these guys with gears. And then we dive in and we go from there, and we go through all the segments, and then we come out, and it will be like a lollipop. There will be two-way traffic there on that start, and we come back in and we do the Muskrat Maze. And we finish on Muskrat Maze, which is a pretty cool little section and twisty. And we save it to the last because it's very twisty and tight, and there's not a lot of place to pass, move around, so we don't want to do that in the start. And it's got a super hard climb on the backside of that. And then we drop out, and we have a little curl, like 180 degree, and then you got to climb up a dirt road to the finish. So it's great for the officials because we're not coming in super hot because we got to climb to the finish. And I don't know, it's all good and it's all fun. It's all gonna, we'll have awards down at the bottom and things like that. So I'm sure beers will be flowing, and I'm sure music will be going, and it'll be good times. So Jason, what did you miss? You missed a lot. You're gonna have to watch the video replay because I can't repeat everything. Jason and Gilkey just checked in. Hopefully he's been eating poorly and not training, but unfortunately he gave me a thumbs up on Zwift, so it tells me that he was training. So yeah. So I'll tell a little story about Jason. So I was going to post this the other day, Jason, but I wasn't friends with Kaylee and Carlberg yet, and I was going to use him and you in the same comment, and it had to do with the fire that's going on in Medicine Park right now. So it's a controlled, well, it's not really there now. It was yesterday. It's a controlled burn, but it was on the Cat 3 course. And we were just talking about it being a fire, and they're talking about, this crash may have caused it. And I was like, it was probably Jason's pedal strike on the Cat 3 course that caused it, because you went down, hit that pedal strike right behind me, and just totally ate it. And So I waited for Kalian to bridge up to me, and I asked if you were still up and riding. He said, yeah, he's back. He's coming. And he goes, man, he goes, he hit so hard, it sparked. He goes, I can see the sparks flying. So apparently your pedal strike was enough that it caused sparks at that point. So you could have been the cause for the fire, but unfortunately it's a controlled burn. You weren't. So anyway, just a random story. Chad Van Hosen, what's going on? He's one of our Ponca guys. He just checked in, or he may have been here a while, and he just made a comment. So Kevin Wagner, same. George, man, what are you? Oh, chiming in from Wisconsin. What's up, Forrest? Okay, so George is not in Wisconsin. Or Forrest Smith, one of our ex-locals and good friend and hell of a racer, checking in from Wisconsin. Oh, Jason's it's just finished my salad. Whatever. Oh, goodness. Good times. So 6.5-ish mile loop for Ponca. I mean, everybody's Garmin's a little different, but I had about that. I mean, I averaged Des's mileage in mine, and it looks about 6.5, 6.6. So with that, we're going to do the same laps we did last year. So we'll be doing, I don't know, I don't want to bother you with times, but it's about the right time frame. We'll be doing 3 laps for the Cat 1s. We'll be doing 2 laps for the Cat 2s, and we'll be doing 1 lap for the Cat 3s. So it's pretty standard procedure. And it's going to be spot on with our recommended time frame. So it's going to be good times, and looks like the weather is going to be not 1,000 degrees like it was last year. So it's going to be a little chilly in the morning, and it's going to warm up and be actually fairly nice on race day. It's going to be a little chilly on Saturday pre-riding, but looks like race day is going to be pretty nice. So sunny and I think like 50-ish. So yeah, should be good. Should be good race conditions. Actually, that's kind of primo race conditions, honestly. Not as nice for people that have to get up early and do registration early, but for racers, that's it's going to be pretty golden. So, gonna have a good day, good weekend. See if there's anything to add. Ponca. T-shirt sales, $20. Looks like they've got T-shirts again last year, and I am wearing my 2017 Ponca Boulder Bass shirt. Boom, beautiful shirt, and they've got a new design, which is pretty cool looking, and they're going to have T-shirts, $20. So first come, first serve. You better get them when you get there. Brandon Nesbitt, what's going on? He just checked in. How you doing? So that's it, Ponca. I'm done with that. We're 48 in. As usual, I always run like an hour. I don't know. I'd like to get it shorter, but I just talk a bunch. So Keystone, I'm not going to really talk much about that. Course is marked. It's been ridden. I saw somebody rode it again today. Thanks you. Done again. I lost my KOM. I got my notification today that I lost it as I was clocking out to come home. So I knew that was inevitable, but anyway, it's all good. So yeah, so I'm going to save most of that for next week. So just one reminder, I made this announcement last week based on the times that I've seen and the times that I did and the people that I've talked to. We are changing the lap structure. It should already be on the flyer and it should already be out there, but I just wanted to make that announcement again. We're going back to 3 laps, 2 laps, 1 lap. It was 4, 3, and 2, but that was just too long. So we're going to err on the side of caution with 3 laps for the Cat 1s, 2 laps for the Cat 2s, and 1 lap for the Cat 3s. So anyway, just another note there. Let's see. Chad says trail's in great shape. It's pretty much all marked for pre-riding now for race. Chad is a Ponca rep, so he's one of our guys with Roy. out there. Yeah, Ponco's been marked for a while. You guys are good to go, brother. And so if you guys can get down during the week, great. If not, we'll see you Saturday and this weekend down there pre-riding and checking it out. So Philip Staten headed to Ponco in the AM. Anyone else going? So looks like Philip Staten just posted that he's headed to Ponco in the morning. So looks like tomorrow's going to be sweet. So you guys better get out there and do that. Okay. I think I'm current on all the comments. Haven't missed anything. So I'm going to roll on to the last subject. So I can toss this notebook out of the way. So this was brought up last week by a few people, actually. Been neglecting the Jaeger. So here, let me. Oh, man. Sorry, we'll just knock that right out. That's some good stuff, man. Jason Engelke says, Ava Engelke, Kids Cup, wants to know what age you started biking and the longest race you've ever done. So you did miss that, actually, on one of my, I missed a part of that. I didn't start riding bikes, racing bikes, until I was 30. I rode for fun when I was just a kid. You know, we rode around the neighborhood. I think I bought my first 10-speed when I was in middle school, and we just rode around the neighborhood and stuff like that. But I didn't even know racing was a such thing until I was 30. So I didn't officially start, I'd say, till 30, 31 years old. The longest race I've ever done, man, I'm not sure. I've done several 100+ mile races. Too many to count. But I'd say 100 to 120 is probably the longest I've done. I've never done DK, which is Dirty Kansas, which is 200 miles. Several people have done that, so I haven't bit that off. But I think I've done several 100 to 120, 130 mile rides, and I've done too many 100-mile rides to count. So just depends on what you're riding. So the distance isn't always as important as the time that you're out there, depending on what style you're riding, whether you're riding on the trail or whether you're riding on the road or whether you're riding on the gravel. So anyway, yeah. So I hope that answers Ava's question. So let's move on into the training subject. Training. So I get asked this question a lot. I really do, and I think most people that are in this gig as long as we are get asked this, and it's, you know, they want to know how we ended up here. I mean, how we got to this point. I mean, how we are able to get on the podium and win races, and how we're able to go fast. And you know, there's tons of people that are way faster than me. There always will be. But I hold my own. I mean, not bad for a single-speeder-old guy with a beard. So, you know, but it didn't come naturally. I wasn't a naturally gifted athlete. I've always been athletic, but I was not a naturally gifted cyclist. So I had to work at it, I had to prepare for it, I had to train for it, I had to develop my body. And I'm continually doing that. I'm continually working on that. I've been doing it for 20 years now. And it's just an ongoing process. It's every year you pick something to work on and something to change and something to do. And so I just kind of want to talk about how that process happens now. And I'm not going to get very detailed because it's a very detailed process. But I want to just talk about the basics and the whole concept of training, and just trying to give some tidbits about that, just so people understand how to go about it. So let's see. So just generally what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about some very basic concepts, some of my golden rules, my general training plan for a year, just an overview of what I do throughout the year. I'm going to talk about what base training is, because you hear that a lot. A lot of people don't know what it is or why. And then I want to talk about how you measure your efforts, which means perceived effort, heart rate, power, programs that we use like Zwift, training, stuff like that, how we, Garmin's, and, how we measure all that. Talk about heart rate zones, and that's probably going to be it. I mean, that's going to just talk about heart rate zones and how those heart rate zones and power zones work. I'm not really going to talk about specifics because every person's very different. But I want to give you the basics so that you understand what we're talking about, and then now you have the terminology that you can go to a coach, or you can go to a colleague, or you can go to another racer in your team, or even contact me and we can talk more specifics about it and hook you up with someone that can help you. So training basics. When you first start out, let's say that you're a very basic Cat 3. There's a point when really you don't need to train. You just need to ride your bike. You need to be on the bike. You need to go ride courses. You need to ride the bike. You need to find time in your schedule to ride the bike. The more you ride your bike, the better you're going to get. You don't need anything specific because you're at a beginner level and there's so much of an up curve for you in if you're just on a graph. I mean, your potential is huge. Your fitness and your skills are so low at that point. And you're just going to see, as you continue to ride the bike, again, no specific training plan necessarily. I mean, you could, but if you go out and just ride your bike and you work hard, you're going to see a progression. And you're going to see a pretty quick progression. But with that said, you're going to reach a point really quickly that riding the bike and just going out and, hey, I'm just going to go out and I'm going to ride Bluff Creek. Hey, I'm going to go out and ride Turkey. Hey, I'm going to go out and ride Draper. Hey, I'm going to go out and do a road ride. It's going to become clear pretty quickly that you're not progressing from just going out and riding your bike. So now it's hard to balance fun, enjoying it, and getting better. So you have to kind of pick your poison, and you're going to reach a point where you plateau, or just riding your bike for fun and being on the bike is not good enough. So you're going to have to develop a training plan, or you're going to have to start working on something specific. A couple of things that I say when it reaches this point, I don't know how many people that I see post on Facebook when we get to the end of the year, especially around, Christmas time, we're reaching New Year's. I've ridden 5,000 miles. I've ridden 10,000 miles this year. I don't know. Good for you. It may have benefited you, but you know what? I rode 3. I'm still faster than you. And I ride 1 gear, and I'm older than you. So my point of emphasis there is it's quality over quantity. Now, don't take that the wrong way. Depending on the style of riding that you're doing, there is a quantity aspect. Yes, putting some miles in, getting some mileage and getting some base miles and getting some quantity in is important. But in the long haul, setting your goal to just go out and ride as many miles as you can throughout the year is typically not a good plan. That's not a specific training plan. That is just trying to get miles. That's maybe a goal of yours, but that's not necessarily going to make you a better mountain biker. In fact, I almost promise you it's not going to make you a better mountain biker. It will improve you as a cyclist, but it's not going to improve you in the ways that you want to be race ready. So quality over quantity. Throughout the week, I rarely ride over an hour and a half unless I'm out doing a group ride or something of that nature. But I live out in the sticks. I ride by myself. I don't have access to group rides like you guys do in the metro areas. So I ride by myself. Today was a beautiful day. I didn't ride outside. I would have loved to, but I had a training ride to do, and unfortunately it was a really complicated one. So when I do my training ride, I take a Sharpie and I write all my workouts on my wrist. My workout today was like really complicated, so it would have like gone all the way up here. So I just said screw it, and I just programmed it in, and I did it in Zwift. So anyway, yeah, I know that's a weird choice to make, but yeah, I sat on the porch afterwards and enjoyed the sunshine. So hey, it was all good. Okay. Not too many questions yet. So if you guys have questions about this, just pop in and say something. I'm going to try to go through pretty quickly. I'm already in an hour. This is going to get like super long if I'm not careful. So generally, here's my plan. I lift late fall, which is when the season ends. We end our season in October, moving into cross season. Cross season, I use a few of those races for cross training and for fun, but that's not my main goal. Some people, it is their main goal. But as soon as cross season starts, I immediately start lifting. I do core workouts. I do upper body workouts because upper body is an issue for me personally. It's going to be different for everybody. I do leg workouts, hip workouts, back workouts, quads, hams, hips, all that good stuff. Do a lot of deadlift type things, squat type things, because those are all power, musculature, power, and strength that we need and that we can't afford to do during race season because it weakens your muscles. So I start then, and I will do that then all the way through winter. I do that through my winter season. I do it all the way until mountain bike season starts in February. What's up in him? So, and my kiddo's chilling and hanging out here with me. So, so that was his big foot. So that's my training plan. I mean, that's my lifting plan for the off season. So during that same time that I'm lifting, I do base miles, base training, and there's a whole lot to that. But I do want to explain a little bit about what that is. So. Let's see, I got a couple comments before I talk about base training. Let's see, Forrest says, important to work on handling skills. Fast isn't just pedaling the bike. Forrest, you're absolutely correct, brother. So Forrest Smith, who, was one of my idols growing up, and he said, important to work on handling skills. Fast isn't just pedaling the bike. I think we discover that every week as you see people that you race against some courses, they can, we call them roadie courses, and some courses are mountain bike courses, and you can see the differences in people's skills versus their fitness. And I alluded to this last week as well. When you talk about people's categories, there are skill levels and there are fitness levels. Two completely separate things, and you have to work on both of those simultaneously. Sometimes you have super fit people that have crappy skills. You've got some people that have great skills, crappy fitness. And you've got those people that have good fitness, good skills, and that makes all the difference in the world. So, a few comments. Jason Phillips talking about working on endurance strength and grip strength, and definitely something I'm going to have to look at, because one of my issues is definitely upper body strength, Philip, for sure. Jason chimed in and said, riding on the road in a group helps you learn how to ride efficiently. You learn how your body responds over time. And that is very true, because a lot of those rides are longer. You're putting out steady power. You're in the same position. You're not moving around like you are on a mountain bike. And you really do have to learn that. And I agree, that definitely helps body adaptations. Jimmy Young says, do you recommend the same thing for women? Asking for my wife. It's all the same. I don't care who you are. Male, female, kid, grown up. Yeah, I mean, some things slightly, vary, obviously, depending on personal physical aspects. some of our young kids, physical strengths are, an issue. Power is an issue, and some of the ladies, some of the climbs are a little difficult just because of the physical power. But now training concepts are all the same. Forrest Smith chimed in and says, I'll admit that I had some really good races against guys that would destroy me on the road, but we were in the mud. So that's it, So, if you've got great skills, sometimes your skills can make up for fitness and vice versa. So it's just kind of the way it works. Let's talk about base training. I talk about this a lot. A lot of people don't really know what it is. Essentially, I just use the analogy, and I think someone gave me this analogy, but you've got a house, and you build your house on a foundation. If your foundation is small, weak, then there's very likely going to be issues with your house once you build your house upon that foundation, because there's going to be weaknesses and there's going to be cracks. Things are going to sink, and you're going to have problems down the road. The bigger, the more volume, the stronger that base, and the analogy of the house is when you build a house on this foundation that's strong and as big as you can make it, then you're not going to have any issues, and the house is going to sit on the foundation with no trouble. It's the same concept physically. So you have to build this base fitness and include volume of miles, endurance, and it basically includes three things. You're basically talking, two things: musculature. So you're talking physical musculature strength, which involves lifting, and also on the bike as well too. So you can do, really low RPM, really hard type riding, and then you can do just working on your aerobic capacity. So you're not riding where you're really stressed, but you're riding really long periods where you're mediumly stressed, and you're just developing that base, and you're widening your base, you're widening the things that your body can do and take. So yeah, and that's kind of what it is. You're just building yourself up to prepare yourself to start hard, intense training. The intense training will start about the time that your race season starts. And so for me, I do strength, which is lifting. I do core work. I've attempted some yoga, but honestly, I really suck at it. But there's some really cool stuff that's really good out there that works my back and my core. I lift in my shed, and then I do all my base workouts, sweet spots, a lot of zone 2, and then zone 3, and then some zone 4 stuff. And I do that for several months. And then as soon as the race season kicks off in February, that changes, and I move into more intense stuff and more into intervals and things like that. And then that's the plan pretty much throughout the season, off and on intervals. Intervals being shorter workouts with timed spikes where you're doing an interval for a length of time at a given level, and you're doing more, and they're going to be more intense, and there's ways to measure that intensity, and that's kind of what we probably need to talk about at this point. So let me look and see if I've missed anything first. Yep. So that leads us into the next part. Let me see if there's any comments. And the next part are talking about zones and efforts. I've talked about intensity. I've talked about base. I've talked about moving in intervals, but how do you judge that? How do you determine that if you're in doing an interval? How do you determine if you're in, these different modes? Let's see. Couple comments. Yeah, John Den just talking about some people that we know that have super fit, and some lacking skills, and some have both. And Yeah. I'll let that statement go. You guys can read that. Brandon Nesmith says, how about UFC or MMA type training in the off season? Yeah, I mean, why not? I know there's a lot of controversy about not really that, but I would assume that that kind of training is similar to what's it called? CrossFit. CrossFit. You know, there's a lot of controversy with CrossFit. You know, and talking about how it's bad for you, and that if you don't have the right, you know, person training you, that it's bad for your body and you're going to injure yourself. And that's that's possibly the case. But a lot of people get stoked about it, and it really changes your body and it's good for you. So as long as you do that and still do your riding and still do your normal training, you're going to be fine. It's all about what you want to do. George, interpretive dancing. I've got no answer for that, brother. That's not my thing. You need to maybe give us a demonstration of interpretive dancing, George, at the Dirt Crit Thursday. How's that? There you go, that Jaeger, buddy. I'm finishing that bottle off. Just for you, Forrest. So I'm going to close. I'm like running so long here just because I like to talk a lot. So zones, how do you determine whether you're going hard or you're doing an interval, or how do you determine these things? And so all of us have Garmin's, we have GPSs, we have devices, whatever. Most everybody does. And if you don't, you're going to need one. When I first started training, I didn't really have anything. I just had like a cat eye, and it basically told me how fast I was going. It told me, you know, my average speed and my distance, and that was really about it. I didn't even know what heart rate was. Heart rate is just your heart rate. It's what your heart rate is at any given point in time. And so we all have, I mean, at this point, for most of us that do training, we all have heart rate monitors. At minimum, we wear it every ride. We do it training rides. We do it because we're measuring our heart rate, and we want to know as we're doing a ride what our heart rate is, because we're supposed to be riding at a certain level. And so pretty much the levels are this. So you start out before you have any kind of monitoring device, and it's just perceived effort. So you ride enough, you kind of figure out, okay, I'm going really hard. My heart rate's up, I'm breathing hard, or I'm not breathing hard, or I'm breathing so hard I'm about to throw up. Okay, those are all perceived efforts. So you kind of have to, it's just perceived. It's how you feel that your body's doing. And that is okay at first, but honestly, that's not a very good method. And the reason is because there's so many things that affect that. And once I got a heart rate and I started, I realized really quickly that perceived effort was very poor. Heart rate is okay, but it's obviously not the best. Power is the best, but heart rate will get you where you need most of the time. Power is better. So I would find often that I would go out on a ride. I'm riding along. I'm doing the effort that I think I'm supposed to be doing. I feel like I'm just killing myself. I'm breathing hard and I feel tired, and I'll look down and my heart rate is low. It's not near where it's supposed to be. So immediately that tells me that if I was going on perceived effort, I'd be thinking in my mind, man, I am killing it. I'm doing a great workout. I'm rocking it. And then you look down at your heart rate and it's like 150, 140. And for me, that's pretty low. My max heart rate's 180. Again, don't use this for any judgment, because everybody's physiology and everybody's heart rate is different. But for me, 140, 150 is not, 140 is not very high. If I'm trying to do an interval workout, it needs to be higher than that. The reason it would be low is because I'm fatigued. Maybe I had a really hard race like Medicine Park, and then I'm trying to do a hard workout, and I haven't recovered properly. So my body feels really tired. I feel like I'm working hard, but then I look at my data and that's I'm not working hard. So that's why it's important to have some way to measure that. So again, you start with perceived effort. Once you realize that you're beyond that, you typically will move to a heart rate monitor and some kind of device that measures that. Plenty of people have, the device on their wrist, device on their bike, whatever. I mean, heart rate, however you get it, doesn't matter. You can then move to the next step, which is power, and power measures how much power you're putting out. And obviously that is the best, because wind doesn't lie, how you feel doesn't lie, the temperature doesn't lie. It is how much your legs are putting, it's how many watts your legs are putting out into the bike. And there is no, it is what it is. So let's see. Philip said, did a really good base train all winter and spring, but IT bands are always sore even with daily stretching and getting better. When do you know when you're doing too much training? Hey, Philip and Jason alluded to the, okay, so Philip said, I did really good base training all winter and spring, but IT bands are sore even with daily stretching and aren't getting better. When do you know if you're doing too much training or not? Jason chimed in and said, Philip, sounds like you need a bike fit. I would agree. Your IT bands are typically not going to hurt from cycling. Only a few people have issues with that I know of. A friend of mine that actually rides with our team, and Brent checked in earlier. He has some IT band issues, but typically only for super long hard races. But you should not have IT band pain from cycling, because you're not putting pressure on that IT band. I mean, I'm 50 and I've got a knee that's bone on bone with no cartilage, and I've got no IT band issues. My IT band issues only occur when I run, which I try to avoid if possible. So definitely, I agree with Jason. You need to get a bike fit. Somebody talking about the Apple Watch. Brandon Reed pops in and says, watts. Watts is awesome, I'm telling you. Philip says something about not as fancy as Brandon, but I just use Wahoo devices, but those have all the data there. Some other talk about different things. Alex Canada popped in and said, remember to mention rest is just as important as recovery days. Absolutely. And I tell you what, man, oh man, as I mean, I'm not the oldest rider, but I'm no spring chicken, but I've been doing this for a while, and I'm so hard-headed. And this was over the last 3 or 4 years, I've had a coach to kind of guide me personally. And man, those recovery days used to be some of the hardest days for me, because I just felt like taking a day and riding 30 minutes in zone 1 was not doing me any good. It was like I'd feel like I'd be all bummed, I'd be mentally depressed. But as I've discovered, I really look forward to those days now. Those are so beneficial. If you will take your recovery properly, so you've got to recover your body, because if you don't recover your body, then you go to the next day and you try to do an intense workout. You can't do the workout that you need to do properly because your body's tired. It's amazing how good you will feel on a hard workout if you will properly recover your body. So hard race Sunday, I rode for 30 minutes yesterday. I rode into the wind at like, I don't know, totally zone 1. I had to go up to zone 2 a couple of times just because I had a couple of climbs, but Didn't even break a sweat. Kept my heart rate super low. I breathed through my nose the entire time, and then I turned around and came back with the wind, which was cake because, you know, I mean, you got a tailwind of like 25. I rode for 30 minutes. That was it. And then today I felt good. If I had ridden hard yesterday, there's no way I would have finished my intervals that I did today. All right. Quick recovery of zones. You got zones: zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 5. There's various levels of, you know, 5s and then into 6. I'm just going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Really, 5s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is pretty much it. It gets much more specific when you get into the 5 and 6. I'm not going to deal with that. 1 is easy, recovery, just putzing around town. Just kind of the way it works. 2 is still easy. But a little harder. It's not hard, but it's still somewhat easy. You're kind of ramping it up a bit. Zone 3, moderate. Starting to breathe a little bit, but it's still not killing you. You can maintain this for quite some time. Zone 4, this is getting hard. So you're breathing hard. You can still maintain this for quite a bit. But it's a little harder and you're starting to breathe hard. You cross into zone 5, and this is now hard. This is the real deal. So you're breathing extremely hard. You're not able to speak really. You're focused. You're riding. You're breathing, and that's really pretty much all you can focus on. And then if you, it depends on how you do it. I'm just, you know, there's different levels of zone 5, or you can just say zone 6, however it stages. But then you've got zone 6, the next one, which is basically that's your full sprint. You know, that's your sprint finish. That's your sprint at the dirt crit on the final straight. That is your sprint on the crit. Whatever, you know, sprint to the line of the cross country race, whatever you're doing, that is your full on max red line. And you basically feel like you're going to fall over and puke, and you have about, you know, just maybe 15, 20, 30 seconds of that. So zone 1 is recovery. Zone 2 is base endurance, base aerobic endurance. Zone 3 is just kind of general endurance or aerobic endurance. And then you've got zone 4, which is threshold or aerobic threshold. Zone 4 is typically, if you look at one of your races, I mean, at least a cross country race, I'm not sure how this correlates to other disciplines, but I know with a cross country race, for me, typically I will average threshold, which is about zone 4. I'll go way above that and I'll go way below that, just based on the terrain and the efforts. But average overall, I typically average about threshold, which is zone 4 for an event. And then you've got zone 5, which is VO2 max. Those are just basically efforts that are above what you can breathe and recover. I mean, those are efforts that you can't sustain. You have a certain length of that, and then your body has to recover because it needs more oxygen to get more blood and all flowing through your body. So, and then of course, you know, the zone 6 is just, like I said, sprint. So anyway, so that covers the zones. So the whole key is that depending on how you measure this, whether it's team, and once you have the zones, then you can start training. So I'm gonna close with that. So again, quality over quantity, although quantity during base miles is fairly important, but it's all about the quality. So Brandon, I think I answered your question. Alex says everyone's zones are different, but finding one's individual zone is key to good training. That is correct, and I think I alluded to that just a minute ago, that everybody's physiology is different. Age, genetics, everything, it's all different. So One person says, oh, my heart rate's this. One person says, oh, my heart rate's this. It doesn't matter. It only matters what yours is. And the only way to determine that is to test it. Simple as that. I mean, there's some tests to do it. I personally, my test is this time of year, and I will test mine Thursday to see if mine's changed. I test mine at the Dirt Crits because of the extreme level of output that these events have. And I can test my max heart rate and see if I can change it, or if it falls into the same range. So Dirt Crit is a perfect opportunity because you're going full gas for 45 minutes, and that's going to give you a very good estimate of heart rate, power, whatever you're measuring with. All right, solid stuff. Thanks, Alan. All right, I'm out. If you guys have questions you want to ask more, just go ahead and keep commenting. I'm going to go ahead and close up the live feed. I'll answer stuff later, and I'll answer stuff. If you want to hit me up privately, that's all good too. So anyway, peace out. Hope you enjoyed. Later.